So we've already talked about how there are some angles whose radian measure you want memorized, right? So 360 degrees is 2 pi radians. And we know 180 degrees is pi radians. And 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians if we cut that in half again. And let's see. And let's see, in the last video we just saw, so we have seen that 60 degrees is pi over 3 radians. And I want to talk about those two other special angles, 30 degrees and 45 degrees. If I take 60 degrees here, by the way, and divide by 2, I get 30 degrees. So do the same thing here. If I take pi over 3 and divide by 2, I'm going to get the radian measure of 30 degrees. That's pi over 3 times a half, or pi over 6 radians. So that's one you want. We're going to have to actually memorize along the way. Unfortunately, this has always been troubling, but the 60-degree radian equivalent, 60 degree is pi over 3 radians. The 60 degrees has a 3 in the denominator of the radian fraction. The 30-degree radian equivalence, 30 degrees equals pi over 6. 30 degrees has a 6 in the denominator. That's frustrating because they, of course, differ. And how do you reconcile that? One way to reconcile it is to just one way to think of these pi over 3, pi over 2, pi over 6 fractions. The pi is like 180 degrees. So 180 divided by 3 is 60 degrees. But 180 divided by 6 divided by a larger number, 180 divided by 6 gives me 30, a smaller. And we also need, I think I'm going to just pluck this off on the side. If I take 90 and divide by 2, that's going to be pi over 2 divided by 2 radians. I'm sort of squeezing it in here. 90 divided by 2 is 45 degrees. Pi over 2 divided by 2 is pi over 2 times a half is pi over 4 radians. That's another special angle expressed in terms of radians. What I think you should do is you should go back to your yellow card where we had 30, 45, and 60 degrees. And remember how we have to memorize the sine, the cosine of these angles? And we have a way of remembering those. So we have the sine and cosine of 30, 45, 60 memorized. You want to add the radian measures to these charts. Because now we're going to talk about sine of pi over 6, sine pi over 4, sine of pi over 3, so on and so forth. Let me show you how we can apply this in some exercises. I'm going to call this exercise 7. Find the exact value of each. No calculator. So this is something you should be able to do just from information you have in your head. We'll do a few of these. A is cosecant of pi over 4. Cosecant of pi over 4. And you say, well, wait a minute, that's not on my chart. But the way, we can remember, we do know, we have another yellow card, where we know that we can describe all the trig functions in terms of sine and cosine, right? So we know cosecant is 1 over the sine of pi over 4. And the sine of pi over 4 is the same as the sine of 45 degrees. That's square root of 2 over 2. So this is 1 over square root of 2 over 2, which when you divide that out, take the reciprocal, you're going to get 2 over the square root of 2. And that simplifies, actually. And I'm going to leave this to you. You should be able to figure out why that's going to simplify to just square root of 2. Try rationalizing and reducing that fraction. B. Let's look at tangent of pi over 3. Now, I've said you don't have to memorize tangents, but you do have to know how to be able to calculate this by hand. And the way we do it is we remember that tangent can always be thought of as sine over cosine. So sine of pi over 3 over cosine of pi over 3. Now we're using radian measure, but we know pi over 3 is just 60 degrees. The sine of pi over 3 is square root of 3 over 2. The cosine of pi over 3, same as the cosine of 60 degrees, is the half. And so you got to divide this out. You can work through the steps. You're going to see that turns out to be square root of 3. So here we're using radian measure. Really the point is we already know these values. We just have to realize we're now describing the angles using radian measure. One more, secant pi over 6. Secant is 1 over cosine, so that's 1 over cosine of pi over 6. And pi over 6 is the same as 30 degrees. The cosine of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2. So we have 1 over square root of 3 over 2. That takes the reciprocal, so I get 2 over square root of 3. Now that answer I don't mind if you leave in this form. Or if you rationalize here, it just doesn't simplify. You just get 2 square root of 3 over 3. So either one is okay. So I think this is just a good exercise, and like now we know how to do this, right? We're kind of putting together what we know about radian measure now with these values of the trig functions that we learned a little earlier.